Alright, so in this tutorial we're going to be making pretty much our first GUI slash dialog. And pretty much what we're going to have it do is we're going to make a little list box that lists all the players that are connected to the server. And we might kind of tinker around with that and add a couple little things like if let's say the unit is op4, we're going to make his name show red. If the unit's blue4, make his name show blue. Then we're going to make two separate buttons. One is going to kill the person that you selected inside the list box. The second one is going to have you teleport to the person that you selected inside the list box. So, to get started with this, we have this nice little, by the way, go ahead and just click play in single player once you've loaded your mission. Press escape and go to GUI editor. They have this nice little setup here. So what we're going to place down first is just simply a frame. Now, pretty much wherever you click, the frame is going to be there. So I right click directly to the left of this box and press OK. It's going to appear pretty much in that general area. They're kind of hard to see, so you just kind of got to mouse over it or be staring at a directly white object to really be able to see them clearly. Now, to resize this, hold down Alt and just click and drag it around. We're only going to make it about yay big, just because, well, actually let's just make it a little taller and wider. So when you want to change options on it, you want to right click on it. So right click, we're going to need to make a class name for it. We're just going to call it base frame. Don't need to add any text, but for position type, you're going to want to select safe zone. So that way, in case I'm making this on a 1080p screen or at the 1080p resolution, somebody has a low resolution, you have it off center to where it's on the far right of the screen, there's a chance it could be overhanging or pretty much hanging off their screen. So now let's make a list box. So select RSC list box. Move it somewhere near the top where you think it would be suitable. Good enough. And we're going to add just a player list box. And that can be the name of it. Everything else can stay the same. Now for now we're just going to make one single button. And I want to show you how to, pretty much after we get this set up and working, how to make two separate, how to pretty much import this after you've, well, already saved it, copied everything, and exit out of it. So you can import it exactly as is and edit it later. So just go ahead and right click on the button. We're just going to call it button kill. The text that's inside the button, just put kill. So now we have this. Now, before we do anything, let's go ahead and go to our missions folder. We're going to be using create dialog here to spawn it. We're going to go ahead and just, to make things nice and neat, we're going to make two .hpp files that we're going to simply include in description.ext instead of having everything inside of the description.ext. So let's go ahead and first make the description.ext. You can do that by making a new text document, opening it, going to save as type, all types, .ext, just add that as the extension, and delete the old text version of it. Now we can go ahead and save as again, all types, name it defines .hpp. And we're going to do the exact same thing, but as, we'll just call it controls, or, just leave it as controls. So, open your description.ext. Now, you're going to want to include, this go we're going to have our definitions of everything, so everything's already predefined. So when that's the case, you're going to want to include it first. So it's it's hashtag include, then it's going to be in a string. Go ahead and just copy, paste it. Now we want defines.hpp and control.hpp. Now you can go ahead and close out of that and open up defines. Now how we can get all this stuff is by once we have all the stuff we have placed down, so we just have a frame, button, and a list box, just press Control P, as in, well, pterodactyl. Then go into our defines, Control V, and it pretty much, as you can see, it's 1500 lines. It's got every single control that, well, you're going to want to ever deal with, unfortunately. So go ahead and just close defines. Now open up your control. This is where we're going to have our stuff for our dialog. So pretty much when we go into the editor and copy it, so for instance press Control Shift S, I'm going to bring up this, just call it a dialog test. That'll just be my example. Press OK. Go back to here. Now when you paste it in, all you have is the controls that it pretty much copied and pasted, being the frame, list box, and the button. But we need an actual class to, like an actual physical control around that. So make a new class. Now this is where you can name it whatever you want. Like in the thing, I want to name it dialog test. Now we need to give it an IDD. So IDD equals 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have to make another class for those controls. So class controls. Now we paste it in there. We can go ahead and get rid of all the hints. Let's tab this over so it looks nice and neat, just like so. So we have our control called dialog test. Now just for, let's go ahead and just make an add action so we can open it whenever we like. So player add action, open dialog, execvm, open dialog.sqf. Probably would help to add the braces. Now go ahead and make open dialog. Go. Now in here we're going to actually create the dialog, or pretty much make it so it comes up for the user using this command here. So we have create dialog, then the dialog name, which is a string, and the dialog name is literally the class, pretty much the parent class for all the controls that you just made. So, well, it's not really technically, I don't know if it falls under parent class, who knows. Alright, so when we call this file, it should open it up for us, I hope. Just save it. Now, since we made changes to the description.ext, yeah, there's already something. We need to pretty much, instead of just doing a normal restart, we need to come back to the editor and click play scenario again. Line 1, yeah. Alright, let's see here. Don't have semicolons for your includes. What are the odds that this fixed it? Open dialog. Hey, it actually appeared. Now, one thing I'm going to show you how to get rid of. I clicked on this button, and you can see it's flashing. It's pretty much cycling between the transparency level. So you can have multiple different settings for your buttons. So let's see, it is in should be in the defines. Now we need to find RSC button. Alright, so it is should be in the background here, so just set it to 0.7, which this is the alpha channel, so if you have it at 0, that's going to be fully transparent. If you have it at 1, it's going to be fully visible. So I like 0.7 for the buttons, because as you kind of hover over them, they go to solid, so it just allows you to kind of tell the difference a little easier. Now in our control, where we have our button, go ahead and minimize our list box and frame. We're pretty much going to redo this, but over here to make it, well, how we want. Why am I doing that? So color background equals opening, closing curly braces. We're going to make it same thing, 0, 0, 0, 0.7. That's what I did, right? Yeah. So now when we go back into here, test it. Alright, click. Still flashing. Alright, where'd I mess up? Well, as of right now, we're just going to go ahead and skip that and we'll come back to it. So we have our button set up. Now we have our listbox made, but right now we don't have anything set up to add stuff to it. Now pretty much this little GUI or dialog is going to be local to everybody. So as you can see by the command here, it's just strictly local. However, you can, I believe, force it open using remote execution. So when we add stuff to the list, it's only going to be available for that client. So we can't really have something necessarily that's stored on the server unless we pass it to the client when the client requests it. So a simple way, since we're just going to be adding player names to the list, a simple way to do that is it's LB set. Maybe, I don't remember the name. It'll probably come up since I've googled it recently. LB add. Yeah, that seems right. Yep. Alright, so it's pretty much going to add a string to the list. So for example, when we have open dialog, we want it to also add the stuff to it. So we're going to need to find the control, which we can do with, alright, we're going to need display control, and we're going to need find display. So a way we can get the control, just go ahead and we're going to store it in a variable called ctrl equals. Now since we're just doing one little thing, we want to find the display in the IDD and then in the same line use display control. Since we have parent display here, we're going to enclose it in parentheses. So we're going to do find display. Now the display is the IDC, or the display control is the IDC that we want, and the display itself is pretty much the IDD, which is the differences between the two. The IDD, think of it as like it's how you create it, or it's the handle on literally the entire little dialog. And all the IDCs are access to the specific things inside of the dialog. Like 1500 is access to the list box, whereas 1234 is access to all of this. So we want to find 1234. Now with that, we want to use display control. So display ctrl, and we want the list box, and that is, go ahead and close defines, 1500. So display control, 1500, semicolon. So now we have access to our list box, and it's stored in control. And you can also kind of read it out. Think of, in this example, parent display being what returns from find display. So for the example on adding something, let's just do lb add, which I believe that stands for listbox. So lb add, we need the display, and we need the whatever string we want to, well, control, plus whatever we want to send into it. So we're just going to use ctrl and test as our, well, test. Oh, random note, when you're doing this, these have to be added after the control, or the dialog is opened up. So it has to be ran after create dialog has, well, created the dialog. So let's go test it. Open dialog, nothing there. Alright. What went wrong? Well, what did I do? Let's just try the other syntax real quick. Control ctrl add. Open dialog, and suddenly test appears. Why didn't the first one work? Unless the first one's expecting every... no? Oh. Duh. So, just set this to 1500, not control. Test if you want to do the first syntax example. So now, yeah, works the exact same. So, alright, so now we know how to add stuff to it. Now let's go ahead and pretty much add the unit's name. So here we want to use the for each command because we're going to get all the players connected to the server stored in this little list. And the way to do that is just, well, simply for each all players. Now, all players literally gets, as it states, all players. It does not get AI. But since in my example here, I am using an AI unit plus a player, we're just going to use all units. All units, because that will also get the AI. So all units. Now here's where we use our magic variable x. So we're going to go ahead and get name equals name x. And we want to add the name to the list. So we can literally just use this and replace test with name. So now, when we open up the dialog, it should have two names. Mine, Cody, plus Rahim Ron. That's a lot simpler. So now it's just to play Cody and Ron, just like so. So pretty much it's going to display the player's profile name, or whatever you see when he connects to the server. That's what's going to appear in the list. So, well, now we have everything that we need, but for the what's it called? The list to show up, but we don't have, all we have is the player's name. We don't have the actual handle on the object / player that we need to be able to do stuff like set his damage or teleport for our examples. So one way we can do that, I actually got this from PAX on YouTube, which is just such a simpler way. We're going to make a global array. So no underscore, just going to call it player list array, and just go ahead and make it empty. And we're going to use pushback command because it's faster than append, and faster than going player list array equals yada yada yada. So player list array push back x. So in our list box, for example, the first unit that gets ran is added to the first slot in the list box. And the list box works just like an array. It has its elements, and you can return those elements and set them. So if we want to return element 0 in the array by simply clicking on it, which we'll show you with the command I don't know, it's somewhere down here, just it's covered up. We'll return the very first, if we click on the very first name in the list, it'll return index 0. And since we're returning index 0, the same spot in index 0 for this array is going to be the exact same as the person in the list box. That was a really bad way to explain it, but you'll see here in a second. Alright, so we have, so let's go ahead and make our other SQF file. Just call it kill unit. Alright, so one thing we can have here that is going to kinda, pretty much when you click the button, this is going to cue it to do something. So it's called action. So when you click the button, it runs whatever script you have inside action. So all action is action equals, actually I don't know, I don't think we need those braces. I think it's all in just a string. So that's where we do normal stuff like exec VM. So exec VM kill unit.sqf. Make sure I didn't screw that up, which I did. So it is actually, and I always forget this for some reason, it's unquoted itself because it's all inside of action. Pretty much anything inside of action in quotes. It's a string. So when we use exec VM, we usually encase the path to the file in quotes, but in this case just do single quotes, not double, around, well, this kind of signals that it's inside of its own little section. So now when we run it, open dialog. Alright, so it's technically executing the file, we just haven't seen it yet because we don't have anything inside of that file. Now you can also use another command. It's called close dialog equals, you can do 0 or false, so when you click the button it doesn't close it, or true, so when you click the button it does close it, like the entire thing. So we have our kill unit. Now this is where it gets, we're going to be using a lot of the, well, LB commands. So just for confirmation, hint, working. So if there's an issue, we can go ahead and fix that. Kill, working, okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and get our stuff. Now there's one here that is when you have a item in the list selected. So it's not set cursor selection, it's just, yep, here it is, LB cursor selection, which returns the index of the selected item. So if we selected Ron, which was at the very top of the list box, it's going to return the index of 0. Since Ron is going to be inside of this array in index 0 as well, we can just use that to access, well, Ron. So just like an example, just going to call it index equals LB cursor select. Then we need the control. The control being 1500. Now we need, completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, unit equals the array of the players, select index. So if we select Ron, it's going to return 0, meaning it's going to select 0 out of this array. Well, element 0 out of that array. So we can go ahead and hint string unit to test it real quick, make sure everything's saved. So open dialog, Ron, kill. Him, he's op4. Me, I'm blue4, prints me. You can see how that kinda is working. We have access to pretty much all the players in the list. And if more people join and we open up the dialog, it's going to pretty much continue to fill that list since it's running the for each command every time. Alright, so we want to kill that unit. We just do literally unit set damage 1. So let's go ahead and go Ron. And we'll also do ourselves as well. Ron, kill. Us, kill. See how that works? Alright, let's go ahead and actually make a little bit of a new addition to the list just to make it look a little better. So we're going to use the set color, well, ironically here it is right off the bat, to pretty much set the color of the list, well, of the unit in the list. So if they're blue 4, it's going to appear blue. If they're out 4, it's going to appear red. So we're going to go ahead and get another variable. Let's call it side equals side x. Make a switch for side, do. So if they're west or op 4, we're going to run this. If they're east for, west for blue 4, if they're east for op 4, run this. So it's going to be LB set color. Now the color is on an RGB scale, just like this one. So we have red, green, blue, and then the alpha channel, which is the transparency. So we're going to go ahead and get it's the IDC, which is 1500. Then we need the index, which we can use the command. Crap, what is it called for each? Back to Google. Arma 3 for each index. Well, right here. For each, yeah, it's literally for each index. So for each index, which means whichever one we are currently on. And now we need the color, being another array, so just do your open and closing square brackets. We're going to set it to blue, so red, none, green, none, blue, 1 for solid blue, and 1 in the alpha channel. Now we're going to do the exact same thing here, so we can just go ahead and actually copy this. Except we're going to set blue to 0 for none, and red to 1 for solid red. So now if we save it and go back, I should be blue, and he should be red. Guess what? They're not. Go figure. Alright. Let's see here. Oh. You ever kind of do something stupid where you just want to, well, throw yourself off of everything? We are setting the color, and then we are adding the color. Adding to the list. So we're pretty much setting the color for something that is non-existent. So we add the color, add the element to the list, and then we set the color. Now it's red and blue. So Ron being red, me being blue. I feel stupid. Alright, so now we're going to make another button to teleport. So we go back into the GUI editor, and here's where we pretty much import it. So we're going to do Control-I to bring up this, and this is where we enter in the config path. So it's mission config. Wait, yeah, it's those. And then the dialog name, which was dialog test. Press OK. Scratch that. Needs to be a string. Press OK. Alright, where am I forgetting? Alright, I had to Google it. It's actually mission config file. And then the dialog name. Wrong direction. So now we have our crap back again. So we have kill and listBox and frame. So let's go ahead and copy the, don't move it, dang it. Alright, copy the button kill. Let's go ahead and move this to the center-ish. Now this is our new button. So we're going to call it teleport 2. Class button teleport. Teleport. Safe zone. Why are you not part of it? Okay, now Control Shift S, Dialog test. Okay, go back into our control, and pretty much the only place we're really going to be we're going to be putting it in here. So tab it over. That was one too many. Okay, and you can see it's pretty much added everything already to us. So we already still have that action there since we imported it. So that was just to make sure. We can go ahead and delete everything else. Now we're just going to rename this to teleport 2 unit.sqf. Make our new file teleport 2 unit. And just make sure the dialog still actually works, because I seem to have random issues when doing this sometimes. Okay, wow, it actually does. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and set up teleport to unit. So it's going to be literally the exact same way as this. We get the unit that's in the list box, the index of the unit that's in the list box that we have selected, and then we're going to get it from the player list array. So now we have unit, we can do whatever we want. So position of the unit, get position ATL, unit. Now since we're running this locally, so pretty much anything you do right here is always going to be player. If you want to alter whoever's controlling the menu, set position ATL, position select 0, position select 1, position select 2. So now we should simply teleport to them. Or not. Line 4 missing that. Equals. Duh. Since we're just altering the script itself, we can just press restart. Run, teleport to. And we just teleported to him. So let's head up here. Oops. Teleport to. Teleported to him. Just like so. Also, as you can see, his name appears here. We kill him. Open it again. His name is not there because, well, he's a dead unit. And we can't really teleport to ourselves because we're just going to the exact same place. Now, one more random thing that you will probably figure out is when you do these options when nothing is selected. So, nothing is selected, I press kill. It's going to throw a fit. Same thing with teleport to. So, a way to get around this to kind of ensure safety is to always have it select the first element inside of the list when the list is opened up. So we can, since this is just going to be a script, we can just go ahead and set it to restart when we're ready. So look for it here. Set selected. Alright, I remember trying this one and having issues. So set cursor selected. This is what we want here. And we want to run it after the dialog is finished getting all the units. So out of the for each, so we're not running it continually more than needed, so we're going to have the control. That's for the alternate syntax. Actually, we can just use that one since that one's, well, following with the names, how we're doing it normally. We're just going to use the first syntax. So LB set cursor select our control number, which is 1500, and then the index we want to select, which is 0. So now, when we restart and open up the menu, it should automatically be selected to run. Oops. Run. Just like so. Now it should be me. Just like so. So, that's kind of how you can make and alter, well, pretty much interact with the listBox through a crap ton of commands for the listBox. But yeah, it should be a general idea to at least get you going. And I'm hoping in the next tutorial that, well, I actually already pretty much made it. I just need to test it with somebody other than myself because it goes by client IDs. It's going to be a little message system so you can message someone between yourselves. Kind of like, since we're getting the client ID, we're going to be passing that message to that client specifically that we want to send, selecting from the list box, and that's going to display on that person. However, since I test on a dedicated, and same thing goes for when I'm testing normally, like for instance in the play multiplayer type section where you're just hosting it through Arma 3 itself. When that happens, since we're hosting it, it returns us as the server technically, and when we run it on dedicated, yeah, we are both clients. Since I'm running 2 clients on the same machine, same everything, it returns us both with the exact same client ID. So I pretty much just need someone to test this with to make sure. But if it works just fine, I'll go ahead and make a video on how to go through and do that. So here's your basic how to make a dialog.